Hello and welcome to the two-man power trip of wrestling. I'm your host, JP John Paz. With me today, very special guest. He is, of course, a WWE Hall of Famer, an ECW Tag Team Champion, WWF Tag Team Champion, WWE Tag Team Champion, NWA, TNA Tag Team Champion, IWGP Tag Team Champion. My God, he's done it all. You've seen that awesome picture of him holding all the tag belts. He is, of course, Devon Dudley. Devon, welcome to the two-man power trip. How you doing?
Hey man, good. How you doing?
Doing good. How's it going? Like, what's going on in your world?
Well, busy. I mean, with this new regime with Triple H and Stephanie, which I am extremely happy about. I think everyone's happy, and just for the simple fact that we're all happy about what Vince did for 50 years plus, and but sometimes with every how do I say this? With every company, with every new whatever it is, it's always good for a new fresh and new ideas and things like that. And I think Triple H brings that. And we're not discounting what Vince did, like I said, for the past 50 years, but sometimes you need a little change, and I'm happy about that. But to go back to originally answering it, with all of that going on right now, I guess the responsibility for me has picked up a little bit, and I'm happy for that because again, I get to do my ideas. And Hunter's, me and Hunter have a very good relationship. Him and Stephanie both. When I had my stroke 2 years ago, I remember Stephanie leaving a message on my answer machine, my voicemail, telling me, "Hey, I heard you're doing well and everything is good with you, but I just want to make sure that you're doing great. I want to hear it from your mouth and not anybody else's." And of course, I heard that message, and that made me feel a little special, just for the simple fact that she didn't have to do that. Hunter didn't have to do that, but they were very concerned about me. So I guess if you could say that, am I sort of a Hunter guy? Yes. Am I also a Vince McMahon guy? Yes. Am I a Paul Heyman guy? Yeah. All of those guys have, done very well with me, which is why I, love being working for the WWE.
Yeah, it's great with Stephanie and Triple H because it seems like everybody got like infused with energy all of a sudden. Like the ratings are up. You know what I mean? Like everybody, like, NXT too, the ratings are up. So it's like just by him being there, kind of infused this new energy from the fan base.
Well, again, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like when you have a champion for so long, and then all of a sudden somebody comes along and beats that new champion, and you're going to get a huge pop in the arena, and that's always a given. Regardless, even if the people don't like the opponent or not, if there's a title change, people are going to be happy. They're going to cheer for it. They're going to be excited for it, and I think this holds pretty much the same thing like that. We have a new boss, we have a new owner. Owner, I guess you say owner slash the guy in charge. And with that being said, people were happy with NXT Black, was it Black and Gold before?
Yes.
And, so it was like when it changed to 2.0, people were a little bit upset because it wasn't Hunter's vision. People loved the fact that Hunter took nobodies from an indie circuit and made them into somebody's, So I think people were fully aware of what Hunter was capable of doing. And I think that's being showcased now. But I also feel that people have to relax and be patient and know that his vision is being shown, but he has to do it in a way where it's not just fuck Vince and his ideas, but it's kind of like, we still have to incorporate, I guess, a little something to not disrespect, Vince and what he's done for the company, but then along pursuing the go ahead with Hunter's vision.
Funny, I was watching an interview from '04 with Vince, and he was talking about how Triple H has his own ideas. I mean, this is 20 years ago. He's talking about Triple H's own ideas. He's very smart to the business. So, I mean, obviously, he's a part of the family at that point, but you don't get the idea like, oh, he's going to be running things. This is 20 years ago. So I was like, wow, even Vince back then kind of had an idea that Triple H would be like a good successor for him.
Well, we all knew that during the Attitude Era. And it wasn't because he married Stephanie. That wasn't it at all. But we just knew that when he did marry Stephanie and he did become part of the family and he did become part of creative and all of that above, and he was making decisions, we all knew that it was going to be Hunter that would take over when Vince left. Or, if unfortunately, if something had happened to Vince, it would have been Triple H that came in. We all knew that. We all said that. So it was no surprise to us. It was surprising on how everything went down. for it to get to this level. But I don't think anybody was surprised about Hunter. We all knew that if Vince couldn't do it anymore, that Hunter would be the one next in line, and we were happy about that. Him and Stephanie, and I think it shows, like you said, in the ratings. I just heard on ticket sales alone for WrestleMania next year, the ticket sales has skyrocketed.
Yep.
And that's great because there's a newfound spark energy within the wrestling business now. And I'm very excited about it. And it's not one of those things where I think people are not going to want to know what's going to happen next. People are tuning in and they're excited about what's happening.
Yeah, I think it was 42% up versus last year. And last year, you guys sold, I think, 50,000 tickets each night. So it's
Yeah.
up from then. So it's going to do better than last year. But it was crazy to look like, wow, he sparked ticket sales, and people are just interested. Obviously, WrestleMania is going to sell anyway, but it sparked sales where it was up 42% over last year. It was pretty remarkable.
Well, I was kind of upset when I heard about last year's WrestleMania. And I don't mean upset in a bad way, but kind of a little envious and jealous because before last year's WrestleMania, the biggest WrestleMania of all time, even beating WrestleMania 1 with Mr. T, Hogan, and Piper, and I was about to say Flair, with Piper and
Orndorff. Yeah.
WrestleMania 17 in Houston was basically the biggest and most successful one of that era. And I was a part of that. So to know that I wasn't on the card wrestling last year, or not even a producer because I was home recuperating from back surgery, I was kind of a little envious and jealous. I was like, no, WrestleMania 17 is the greatest.
Yeah. Everybody was shocked. It's almost that low expectation, but they're like, "Oh, we'll see how it is," And then it exceeded expectations. Austin wrestled, Cody Rhodes. I mean, Roman Reigns, obviously, maybe really, really was a great show.
I mean, it really was, and it was excited. And I remember watching it at home, like I said, recuperating from back surgery, and I was jealous. I was envious that I wasn't there and I wasn't helping to, produce any of those matches because I was home recuperating from all the years of bumping in the ring and wrestling. But I was very happy and proud of each and every one of them. And I called and texted a lot of people that was on the show that night and told them how proud I was of them and congratulations on a very successful WrestleMania.
Yeah, I mean, great show. Obviously, money wise too, but just great show for the fans. They definitely were happy with that show. But you mentioned back surgery, like you had a stroke and back surgery. Rough couple years.
Yeah, it was a little rough, man. I think the stroke happened. My blood pressure was sky high. I was always angry. I didn't know how to calm down. Family members were telling me, you need to relax. Don't worry about certain things. And, my blood pressure got up and, I'm not going to say why it was up, but, blood pressure was up. People can, predetermine why. But I basically went through, that stroke and didn't even realize I was having a stroke. It just happened. I was in my hotel room in California and I couldn't walk. And
Wow.
I just thought it was like sleeping, I had a good night's sleep. So I thought it was because of that. And when I say that, sometimes when you wake up and you go to the bathroom in the middle of the night or something, your legs are not, underneath you sometimes, so you got to shake them out a little bit. That's what I thought it was. And then my wife called me and that's what she said, I think you're having a stroke. I was like, bullshit. There's no way I'm having a stroke. I'm too young to have a stroke. Apparently you're not too young.
Right.
You could have one. And then that happened. And then I was home for about almost 8 months recuperating from that. And then my back started hurt. My legs were hurting real bad. I was getting numbness down the legs. The hamstrings were pulling. I couldn't walk 5 yards without having to sit down. It was getting bad. I mean, I had dealt with that even when I was in TNA, but not constantly to that effect. And then I came back to WWE, me and Bubba, and I remember there were times where I was stretching and it just didn't seem like it would let up. But I was like, I'm not worried about it. I'll get in the ring, move around, and my body will warm up and I'll be okay. And that's what it was for the first 6 months when me and Bubba came back. But then the last 6 months was when I just realized it wasn't going away. Tried to hide it a little bit, In other words, not saying anything to anybody. But last year, I couldn't hide it anymore. I had to go get checked out.
Wow, too young for back surgery too, right? I mean, geez, too young to have back issues.
Well, I don't know about that. I mean, you got to think about, 30
Oh, yeah, but you've been
years.
through a lot, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you're telling a normal individual who's never taken a bump, who's never been in a car crash, and when I mean a car crash, every night we're in that ring and we're bumping our bodies on that mat, on the floor, on the outside, even though there's padding on the outside, and also the blows that we're taking from our bodies hitting. Our bodies weren't made to do this. Not pro wrestling, not basketball, not football, not baseball, not any of this. We were made to be on this earth, whatever God intended us to do, but definitely not that stuff. We did it to ourselves. So when people say you're too young to have back surgery, nah, not when you've been through what I've been through, especially in ECW.
Yeah, I was gonna say maybe I'm wrong because you took so many bumps and crazy bumps at TLC matches, and then all this stuff in ECW, all the tables and stuff. So a little bit different. I mean, you guys obviously, pun intended, but you took it to the extreme, and obviously ended up hurting you in the long run.
It did, but if people ask me, if you had a chance to go back and change it, would you? And just like when football players are asked that, and rugby players and all of that, the more physical sports out there, they say no. I would never change it. I had good times, good memories up and down the road, doing my thing, living a childhood dream that most people, could only fantasize about. Not only did I make it to the company that I watched for so many years and idolized, but I actually became one of the greatest tag teams in the history of this business, along with my partner Bubba. So I'm very happy with everything that I've accomplished over the years and what I've done. I wish that the singles run could have been a little better than what it was, but for hell, I mean TNA, we knocked it out the park.
Yep, for sure. Now, just curious, and I'll definitely obviously get back to the Dudleys, one of the greatest tag teams of all time. But what is your current duties? Like, what are you doing today with WWE? I know you said NXT.
Yes, I'm with NXT right now. I'm a coach behind the scenes. I'm also a producer. I help put the matches together and things like that. And I'm actually like there's three titles, and I always forget. So coach, producer, and I'll think of the third one later. But I'm just having fun. Working with the younger talent and helping them to carry on the legacy of pro wrestling, and it's great. You got myself, Terry Taylor, Fit Finley, Robbie, um, Robbie Brookside, Norman Smiley, and a lot of the other guys that have moved up from talent to producers. They're backstage. So and Shawn Michaels, of course, and Matt Bloom. And we're just having a good time and helping these kids get to where they got to be.
Are you liking like where the talent's at right now? Because right now, Braun Breaker, you got a bunch of guys there that are, could be ready to go to the next level for sure.
Absolutely. And I hope they don't go anytime soon because I'm just starting to get to know everyone. Because, when I was on the main roster producing, um, really didn't have the opportunity to watch NXT because Vince had us so busy. We had emails coming in all the time about the shows, feedback, things like that. So never really had the chance to watch NXT. And when you work as much as we did on the main roster, when you get home, you don't want to watch wrestling no more. You just want to go and be with your family and do what you got to do. You can't live this business 24/7 like we did when we were wrestling. It's no fun. And that's why so many marriages break up when you're in this business because all you concentrate on is pro wrestling. That's what you're bred to do. That's what you're told that you have to do. And, I never got a chance to watch NXT, but I'm very proud and happy to be a part of this group. And, even like the names you mentioned, I mean, it's been great, man. I've had a great time. I never thought I would have so much fun, coaching and producing an NXT.
Is it to you funny? Like, okay, Rick Steiner, one of the greatest tag teams of all time. Like, I get to kind of coach and produce his son, who for some reason is the age he is now. You know what I mean? It's like crazy. It's like wow, how fast life goes by. His son is the champ. Is it like weird to you sometimes? It's like the legendary guy.
No, I
Then
think
now his
I
son
got
is involved.
no, I got over that when I came back to the main roster. and Bubba and I were with the Usos.
Right. Yes.
Village. We're going up and down the highways with their dad. When I was doing the Reverend Devon character, I had very, very memorable matches with Rikishi, and even as the Dudley boys, wrestling the Rikishi, Haku, the list goes on and on. We've had matches that forget about people talk about to this day. And then to fast forward 20, 25 years later, we come back to the WWE and I'm in the ring with their sons, the same two little kids that used to come to WrestleManias and run that Raw and SmackDowns and all of that. Now, all of a sudden, I'm looking across the ring and they're not little anymore. They're grown ass men that hurt. They're not those little
Yep.
guys anymore that play fight with and, come out of it unscathed. Now we're in that ring doing our thing. And I remember telling them one time, I said, "Can you please not hit me so hard?" I said, I'm getting old. I'm an old man now. You guys got to be gentle with me.
They're like, come on, you're the Dudleys. You guys could take punishment. Come on. Yeah.
Listen, you go 25, 30 years, you go 20, the first, 25 years of taking that punishment, your body can only take so much for so long. And I think that's what people don't get. The body is not what it used to be. So when people go one more match, when they say this at the Hall of Fame and things like that, I don't think people put in perspective how the body feels after doing it for all of those years. It hurts. You're not moving the way you used to move anymore. And when you're younger, you say, "Oh, that would never happen to me. I'll stay in shape. I'll continue to do what I'm doing." And then life hits you, and then you wake up and realize that ain't the case.
Very true. Did you like that run when you guys came back against the Usos and stuff? Because it's almost like the old guard is putting over the new guard. Did you like being in that position?
Absolutely. I knew that before getting in. So many people um, downplayed the second run in WWE because we weren't the Dudleys of the Attitude Era. And, even going back, I had conversations with Bubba, and me and Bubba both said we knew the Attitude Era was gone. APA, all of those guys, they weren't there anymore. So and even at the time, Edge and Christian and the Hardys weren't there anymore when we came back. So we knew what our job was. It was to come in and help out the younger talent, but yet still stay relevant uh, and mainstream again. Become the team to talk about, but yet helping the younger guys to help put them over. I had no problem with that. I wasn't trying to win 20 more titles. I could care less when I came back if we won the title. That didn't mean anything to me. What meant to me the most was helping out the young guys, keeping this tag team tradition going. That was my thing. But a lot of fans didn't understand that. When they saw us come back, they assumed that we were going to be the Dudleys of old. And you can't do that. You got to pass the torch sometime.
Right.
I get it was a good era and there were memorable matches and people still talk about it to this day. But sometimes you have to be able to let things go and invite the new things that come in. I made a comment on social media one time. I said, the Usos, the New Day, and I think it was Cesaro and Sheamus. I said, that's the new Dudleys, that's the new Edge and Christian, and that's the new Hardys. And I got I got my ass chewed out by so many of the fans. They'll never be as good as y'all and this and that and blah, blah, blah. You guys were the best. You guys this. And I said, listen, thank you. I appreciate that. But give these guys a chance. I remember hearing the same things during the Attitude Era. We weren't the Midnight Express, the Rock and Roll Express. We weren't the Road Warriors. You guys can't live up to those guys. You weren't the Heart Foundation. You guys, Demolition or what have you. You guys got to prove yourself to us. And that's what we did. And they let us prove it. And we came out successful. Let the new generation do the same thing.
I feel like the Usos, man, they're climbing the ladder. They're with like a help from you guys, established them. Okay, they beat a legendary tag team. In my eyes, that always helps. Like when Bam Bam came in, ECW put over RVD, put over Shane, put over Taz. Like that always helps elevate the next guy. So I feel like that helped elevate the Usos. And look at them now. I mean, they're the kings of the castle in WWE.
Exactly. Sometimes that, old line has to get knocked off by that new line. And when that new line comes in, he's gonna come in piss and vinegar. And I said, we're the old lions, the body doesn't move as well. The aches and pains are there. but we're no punks and we're no pushovers. We can still go, but we're gonna make it look great.
Yeah, it just feels like Dudley Boys, but like name value wise, always had the name value. So fans are probably expecting like, oh, they're going to be champions again or
Yeah.
whatever. But that's not the role. That's not what you guys were brought in for.
And that's not, and again, like I said, I could care less if I did, brother. In my room upstairs, in my, I call it my game room with all my videos, because I got all my championship belts up there. That's it. That's what I needed. That shows my accomplishments and appreciation for all the years of blood, sweat, and tears that I put into this. And so for me to have another one up there, it's like, for what? We won the titles 24 times. How many more times can we win them? You know,
Right.
before it just becomes ugh. You know, of course, the first one is special. Then the second one is still good because you're still, you know, on that ride from the first one. And then by the time you get to 10 and 11, it's like, okay, here we go. Another belt I got to put in my bag, carry through TSA, and have them pull me aside because they don't know what it is. And they got to undo your bag. They got to check the belt, wipe that swab around it to make sure it's nothing funny. And then they go, okay, thank you. Meanwhile, I'm like 3 minutes away from the door closing at my gate, and you're freaking checking out the belt, wanting to take pictures. I'm like, dude, put the goddamn belt back in my bag and let me go.
That's great though, because it's like some of them are fans in TSA. They're like, "Oh my god, it's, the Dudley Boys! Oh,
They're
oh the
all
belt!" Yeah,
fans. And the great part about it is when the girls do it, it's like, oh my God, that's a real belt. Can I touch it? I'm like, well, listen, I got this arm right here. You can touch and rub too.
yeah. There you
You
go.
touch the belt.
There you go. The history of the Dudley Boys to me is it's like so fascinating because like the way you put together, obviously there's the Dudley Boys before you in ECW, but then when you get put with Bubba, I feel like obviously that's when the Dudley Boys took off. Why did that team get put together? How did that team get to put together? Obviously, it's got to be Heyman at the helm, but what's the history of the actual team of you and Bubba Ray?
Well, I was at Johnny Rod's school in Gleason's, New York, in Brooklyn. And one day, Johnny pulled me aside and said, I trained Taz and Tommy Dreamer and Alex, which was Big Dick Dudley. And who was anybody else in the company at that time? No, he just said those names. And I said, yes. I said, I do know that because I see the pictures on your wall.
Right.
And he goes, I can make a phone call for you to see if you want to, if they can give you a shot. I said, that'd be great. Thank you. And I remember not really wanting to go because I was scared to death of ECW. I didn't like, barbed wire bats and thumbtacks and fires and tables and chairs were not my thing. I was the traditional say your prayers, eat your vitamins, and train and become that little Hulkster that's going to turn into the big Hulkster. That was my wrestling. So when I saw that, I thought it was barbaric. I didn't want to do it, but I did know that in order for me to get to the WWE or even have somebody even remotely take a look at me, I probably would have to go through ECW first. And that's what I did. And when Johnny made the phone call, Taz says, well, it's funny that you called because we're looking for a Rastafarian Dudley. And I remember Johnny told me that, and I was like, Rastafarian. I was like, and at the time I had hair, but it was starting to get thin in the middle.
Yep.
And I said, I was like, I don't know if I can grow my hair to dreads. I was like, I don't know about that. But then I went down there, had my tryout. Taz told me, it was Taz and Perry Saturn, and Taz told me, he goes, we're looking for a Rastafarian Dudley. And again, I had my high top fade, my Bobby Brown high top fade, kid and play. And I said, I'm gonna be honest with you, I can't grow dreads. I said, that ain't happening. I said the middle is very thin, and I'm doing everything I can to keep my hair. He goes, well, don't even worry about that, because he said he liked my tryout so much. He was like, we're gonna ixnay a Rastafarian. And next thing I know, Paulie asked me, he goes, who do you think you can emulate, or what's your favorite movie? I said Rocky 3. He said, who's your favorite? Sylvester Stallone? I said, no. I said Mr. T. He says, can you do Mr. T? I did it for him. He loved it. And then he told me to go home and watch Pulp Fiction, Samuel L. Jackson, Jules. And I did that. And I just remember him saying, okay, we're going to put together both Mr. T along with Samuel L. Jackson from Pulp Fiction. That's where it came from. And I think the intensity in what I did and when I came in, I think that was what helped me to do what I had to do to get the Dudley boys where they needed to be, and we just clicked.
So interesting, like his thought process, though. Paul, like, who do you like? You know, I mean, like, it's a lot on you. You know.
Yeah, I mean, Rocky 3 had always been a huge movie that I watched over 1,000 times, way before I even got to ECW, before Paul asked me that. And I was a huge Mr. T mark. So that was like a no brainer. So I was very happy about that. But it was at the same token, I was nervous and scared. And especially when you put on the spot to do Mr. T and you're hoping everything goes, it was like a trying out for a movie. You know, you're hoping to, to hit
Yeah.
it. And I hit it, I nailed it.
I always thought Rocky 3 was the best.
Rocky 3, as far as I'm concerned, that was the best Rocky of all time.
He's the best heel. Like his character, Clubber Lang's the best heel.
Yeah.
Hulk Hogan is in the movie. I love Hulk. I'm a Hulkamaniac forever.
Well, that's
So
what pretty much started Hogan on his way.
yes,
That's what got him the Thunder Lips character.
Yep.
I mean,
Mickey's dying. You know.
Yeah, Mickey died, and that was a blow to me because I didn't think. I was like, oh shucks, what's going to happen now? How the hell is Rocky going to bounce back from this? But it's a movie. It's Sylvester Stallone. He's going to put his own twist to it.
But great comeback story though, because he loses the first fight and he wins the second one. You know, he does, and he basically squash match in the second, which is, but just the turn of his character is awesome because he's a sellout, you know, and then towards the end he turns back into, he almost becomes Clubber Lang in a sense. So
Right.
really,
Well, it was funny because I am watching this as a kid. I think I was like 10 years old, and I just remember saying to myself, well, damn, he just lost the first fight. Where do we go from here? I had no idea there was a lot more left in the movie. I was just puzzled that he lost the first fight. And I thought it was so early that he came back. I thought it was so early that they had the first fight. I was like, what the hell?
Yeah.
If you just give me 1 second, I'm just going to plug my thing in. I don't want this to go dead.
Yeah. No problem.
All right, there we go.
Nice.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, no problem. So Rocky 3 obviously is great, but as far as you and your character, they put you with Bubba. What did you think about Bubba? Because you said it was like kind of instant chemistry, but what did you think about him? Did you like him as a person? Did you guys get along?
Well, yes and no. I mean, Bubba, was a young boy just like I was, and it was like yes sir, no sir to everybody around us because it was a thing of showing respect. But Bubba always wanted to be in a tag team. I never did. I wanted to be the black version of Hulk Hogan. I wanted to go out there and do my own thing. I wasn't opposed of it, but I just wanted to do my own thing. And so, but I knew as a young kid in a company with Atlanta Misfits of ECW, I knew that, him and I got along. And I was just like, well, maybe, we can help each other out until I can get to where I need to be in terms of single wise, but it didn't work out that way. And we just wound up being a tag team because of the fact that we gelled so well together. The chemistry that him and I had, no one else had ever had amongst the other Dudleys. So, it's always good to wait for that one to come around that you can, be able to have that chemistry with and be able to, make history. And that's what it was. So I guess that was the missing puzzle of all.
Yeah, definitely. To me, I think it's like not overblown, but people are like, oh, Bubba Ray and Devon really don't get along like behind the scenes. But I talk to Dr. Tom all the time, and him and Jimmy Del Rey, not that didn't get along, they just didn't party together, they didn't hang out together. That's kind of the same thing I see for you and Bubba. Maybe they don't hang, but he said as soon as they get in the ring together, it's they're
It
like the
was
chemistry.
magic. It was magic, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say we never hung out or we never went to a bar together. We did. We had some fun together, but we were both two different people.
Right.
I came from a Christian family. Both my parents were reverends, things like that. He was into the rock and roll, type of lifestyle. And that wasn't me, but that didn't mean that we didn't hang out or like each other or we didn't get along. We get along. We have differences just like every brother, real brothers out there do.
Yep.
And sometimes we just need space. Sometimes he needs to go his way, I need to go mine. But ultimately, we come back together and we get in that ring together and we never skip a beat. It was like we were never separated. We were never lost. It was, and I think a lot of that was proven during the brand extension when they did the WWE first draft, and we were apart from each other for 6 months, and then came back Survivor Series, and we joined forces together. And then that next match, that next night against 3 Minute Warning, I believe it was, we didn't skip a beat.
Very cool. You guys came back together in New York too. When you guys got back together, reformed the team. Man,
Hometown, yep,
yeah, MSG. That was pretty cool.
yeah.
So, like, you guys obviously, like, you get along in the ring, like the chemistry wise. Is that something that you can manufacture, or you almost don't know sometimes? Like, for instance, Heyman, like, I don't know if these two will work out, or is it something you guys kind of like manufacture and put together, or is it just like happenstance? Like, holy shit, like these guys are awesome together.
But you have to understand, we also feuded against each other in the very beginning
Yes,
too.
yes, that's true. So
And so,
familiarity.
with that in mind, we also knew what each other could do in the ring. We also was fully aware of what we both wanted. So when Bubba went to Paul, because at one point in time, the stuttering gimmick in ECW was over like $1 million. Bubba was getting over. But then there was a point in time in ECW with the Philadelphia fans where the fans weren't buying it anymore. And it wasn't working for Bubba. And Bubba went to Paul Heyman and said, you know something? I think we may have something with me and Devon together, but not as baby faces, but as heels. Let us go in there and do something with each other, and I guarantee you won't regret it. And at the time, I was tagging with Axel Rodden, and
Yep.
unknowns to me, I didn't know that he had some personal stuff that he was dealing with outside of the ring, which affected his career because Axel was a tremendous asset. He had a great mind of the business. I mean, he really knew what he was doing. And I felt very comfortable with Axel. But again, Axel was dealing with things outside that, unbeknownst to me, I didn't know about. So it was kind of a thing where I didn't want to let Axel go, but Paulie says we're going to put you and Bubba together anyway. I remember Bubba asking me, and I was like, "Well, what about Axel? What about Axel?" And he was like, "I know." He was like, "But Devon, we got to make money. We got to make his. We got to do this together." And that's when I was like, "Okay." I was like, "Well, let's do it." I mean, I don't have a choice. I just didn't feel. I felt bad about with Axel. But then after Bubba and I got back together, Axel wound up joining us for a little bit.
With you guys, though, to me, the most amazing thing you mentioned, like Philly and the fans and stuff, like, okay, 8-time tag team champs, ECW, that's great and all the great feuds. But to me, is the heat that you guys would get and the riots. And because those fans are some of the smarter fans, as people say, like, the ECW crowd, they kind of would sometimes cheer the heels and stuff. Like, how'd you guys kind of be able to generate that heat? Because I'm always fascinated because they would cheer some of the guys you would think they would boo. You know what I mean? It's like, how the hell are these guys getting them to riot and kind of having them in the palm of their hands?
Well, it's kind of like taking real life. You go into a club, you act like a dick or a jerk, and everybody in the club wants to see you get your ass kicked. Well, that's
Yeah.
what we did. We basically went in there and we were those guys in the club that walked in and took the needle off the record and said, made it scratch and turn around and it's us. And like, okay, what are you going to do? What are you going to do about it? And it just started. That's how we just started riots. We just started them, with, us on the mic talking, jumping in people's faces, daring them to jump the railing. And when some of them did, they got their ass whooped. And as time went on, a few shows down the line, it was known that the Dudleys didn't play.
Was Paul okay with the fan interaction, or did he love that?
Of course he was. It created controversy,
Hmm.
and it made people talk. And at that particular point in time, no one had ever done that before. The old days of having real heels like Freddie Blassie and all of them back in the day, when you read his book and tell you how he had acid thrown on him because he was hated by the fans. They didn't do that, during that time before Bubba and I, they didn't have those type of heels anymore, you know. But Bubba and I brought it to life again.
What did you think just overall of the time in ECW? Like, were you thinking like little engine that could, we're going to catch WBF, WCW, or were you just kind of happy where you were, not being the third promotion, but being a big promotion, just not being the big two?
We didn't have the money in our backyard, so to speak, like WWE did or WCW. We didn't have that. So we were okay with being a third company. We would have loved to have been a number two company or even a number one, but I think a lot of us knew that that wasn't going to happen. But we were very happy with being the third company because listen, so many people can be a third or fourth or fifth company, but how many people can generate the things that we generated during that time? You know, ECW was a special place. It was a place where we were politically incorrect and damn proud of it. And I've said this many times, and I just said this online not too long ago. I said, no one can ever deny that ECW did not influence and help to start and generate the Attitude Era. I mean, we were making leaps and bounds of being recognized without having the big pockets, you know, from a Ted Turner or Vince McMahon, you know, at the time. We didn't have any of that. You know, we didn't have the fireworks and the pyro and the big lights. We didn't have any of that. We went out there, busted our ass, and showed the people what we could do. And that worked.
For sure. I mean, everybody knew ECW, but like you said, limited budget and everything. You got guys doing multiple jobs. Like, Bubba was selling tickets for New York, or, Shane Douglas selling tickets for Pittsburgh, and Taz
Mm-hmm.
is doing merchandise. Did you have like a secondary job that you were doing?
Well, Taz was making the T-shirts. In other words, he was drawing them, doing the designs and stuff.
Oh, wow.
But myself, Tommy Dreamer, and Little Guido was in the ECW office in White Plains, distributing it out to the fans. So what a lot of fans didn't know was when they would call the office and ask, you know, where the hell were their T-shirts or things like that, they had no idea they were speaking to Devon, Little Guido, and Tommy Dreamer. It was great. So, you know, people say, oh, wait, who am I speaking with? John, you know, John Smith. Oh, okay. Thank you, John. No problem. T-shirts on the way.
Wow, what like a family environment. Like you guys are even answering the damn phones.
Absolutely. But nobody knew it was us.
Do you love that though? Like part of it, because it's like you guys are ensconced in it. It's not like the WWE, like you work there. This is like you're part of it, you know?
It really is. And you get to speak to the fans. And you got some fans that didn't know who we were, but yet felt the need to tell us how they felt about the product, what they liked, what they didn't like. And it wasn't too many things that they didn't like. You know, it was, as far as I was concerned, they liked it all. Everything that we did in ECW, they liked it all. And I think that's why we were so successful. And again, that slogan, politically incorrect and damn proud of it. You know, that was a slogan that we used for many, many years. We were not going to do what everybody thought we should do. We were going to do what we wanted to do. No different than when Nirvana came in, when you had the hair bands, Motley Crue, and all of that Poison in the 80s. And then all of a sudden, grunge comes in, Nirvana comes in and kicks down the door and says, we're here and you're going to like us. And that was exactly what ECW did.
Did you think like when you're like answering the phones and stuff, did you think like, oh man, this person hates the Dudleys, or they ripped you? Like, I'm going to break character. I'm going to tell him it's Devon. Tell him to F
No,
off. Did you ever think about doing that?
no, not at all. I mean, no one ever said that, but I wasn't going to do that because that's letting your pride get in the way. You did your job as a heel. So why give them a
Right.
piece of your mind when you're out there making them feel that way? And we're making them do that. So why? You know, I did my job. So if anybody did come on the phone and say that, I was very happy.
Right, right. With the Dudleys, you guys end up leaving, obviously, and go to WWF. Why did you guys leave? Was it like a money issue? Was it just the time to go? Like, why did you guys leave ECW?
Well, I think that it was a time to go. Um, Vince had reached out and said, you know, we want the Dudleys, and you know, Paul was obligated in some ways to do it because at the time we didn't know, but WWE was kind of helping fund ECW and using us as one of their developmental territories. So They were giving us people. We would give whoever they wanted. We send them over there, and vice versa. So I think it was one of those where Paulie was like, "Well, I gotta let you go," and we even told Paulie, we said, "Just pay us $1 more, just pay $1 more, so that just shows us that you want to keep us." He goes, "We can't. I can't do it. I can't compete with their money." And we said, "We're not asking you to compete. We just want you to pay us $1 more. Just put in the contract $1 more, and we'll stay." And he just kept saying, "Nope, I can't do it."
Was it hard to leave though? I mean, obviously you're going to get paid more money, but was it hard to leave?
Absolutely. You develop friendships. I had been there, what, 4.5, 5 years. You develop friendship, you become a family. You're not going to see a lot of these people as much as you used to, like you did every week. Now it might be every once in a while. So, absolutely, it was upsetting when I left.
When you guys get with WWE, it's like they retooled the tag division because for a while it was kind of, it's there, but it's not like where it could be. So as soon as you get infused in there, obviously Edge and Christian and the Hardy Boys are a big part of that too. But did you get that impression, or did Vince say, or did anybody say creatively, like, "Hey, we're gonna, hey pal, we're gonna reinfuse the tag division. We're gonna really put
No
a lot
one
of effort."
ever, no one ever said that. We just kept getting reports. Vince loves you guys. You're doing a great job. Keep up the good work. That's all we got. And each day that we came into work, we found that we were being putting higher and higher on the totem pole on there, so to speak, and we did good. So I think that was satisfaction for us, as opposed to be told, "Oh, we're going to push you to the moon. We're going to do this and do that." No, look, people can say whatever they want, but until you see it, it don't mean anything.
When people talk to you, like do signings stuff, they meet you. Do most people mention ECW, or the most people mention the TLC matches?
Everybody mentions both. They mention both.
What do you think about those, just in general, like TLC matches? Because you think about it, like tables, ladders, chairs. Okay, this is gonna get crazy, but those matches, the spectacle of it, obviously WWE production. I mean, it just if you just look at it, it's like holy shit! Like this is something we've never ever seen before, especially in the WWE.
Well, I like to say, Bubba and I both like to say that they really went extreme when we came up.
Yeah,
They took it to a next level, and we were very proud and happy of that, and we felt that. We really honestly felt that. So, you know, for them to really, go to that route, I think they were getting there, but I think Bub and I helped push the envelope over the edge for them to get there, especially with those TLC matches. Nobody had ever seen anything like that before. The closest thing they saw was Razor Ramon and Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania uh, doing the ladder match, and that was impressive in itself. And so what we did, we just took it to the next level, just like everything else in life. Like for instance, I like to use the analogy with basketball. First, it was Dr. J. Then it was Michael Jordan. And when you saw Dr. J, which I had the pleasure of seeing him play, um, you never thought that anybody can come over and take his place. Because Dr. J, Julius Irving, was that good. Who can come and top him off the thing? And then all of a sudden, this kid from Carolina, North Carolina College, comes in and just blows it out the water, and then becomes the greatest basketball player of all time. That's right, beating LeBron James. And you just never thought. And then all of a sudden, Jordan's done. It's like there's no way. There's no one that can take Jordan's place. And then here comes Kobe. Kobe comes around, and you see it. That's the thing. You see it because these two did have confrontations on the court. And when I mean confrontations, I don't mean fight. I mean squaring off, basket for basket or what have you. And Kobe was such a student of the game. He studied Michael. He learned. Michael was there to help Kobe. And I think Jordan said it best. If anybody's going to knock us off, it'll be Kobe. If anybody's going to knock me off, it'll be Kobe. And I'm sorry to disappoint some of those LeBron James fans, but he don't hold a candle to Kobe. And I'm not saying that just because he
I
passed
agree.
away, but I'm not saying that just because he passed away. I was saying that before Kobe passed away. LeBron, listen, he's a great player. He's definitely going to be in the NBA Hall of Fame, but he's not Kobe, and he's definitely not he's not Michael Jordan.
I say that too. I don't know why people skip over Kobe. They always go, oh, Michael and LeBron. You're skipping over Kobe here.
Because a lot of them, and you got to understand, just like when they voted the New Day the greatest tag team
Oh God, I was going
ever,
to ask you about that. Oh my God.
You know, you got to understand, every generation says what it says. Now, again, when they voted us to being the greatest tag team in the history of this business, I'm sure people in the 80s was like, bullshit, the Road Warriors, you know, the
Yeah,
Midnight
yeah.
Express, the Rock and Roll Express, you know. But when you think about everything that we've accomplished over the years, the titles, every organization we were in, we basically blew it out the water, you know, and we became champions and really helped, you know, scope that tag team division in every federation we went to. So I don't see LeBron James doing that. You know, he won one title in Cleveland, and he had his help, but he only won one. He couldn't do it again. Where Jordan and Kobe did it back to back.
And in Cleveland, Kyrie Irving was the point leader, so he scored the most points. So he obviously plus
I was,
the refs helped him. Remember, Draymond got suspended. I mean, they
mm-hmm.
really were helping LeBron for whatever reason in that series. That was crazy.
I was trying to think of Irvin's. I couldn't remember the name. I'm seeing him play, but I was like, yeah, he was. Could LeBron have done it without him?
No,
That's the question. And
nope.
people will say, well, Jordan couldn't have done it without Pippen or the group that he had. This is somewhat true, but we all saw what happened when he went to go play baseball. You know, the Bulls weren't the same, and the minute he came back, it was like right where they left off.
Look at Pippen though; he wasn't that great on the Rockets or the Blazers after Jordan. And
No,
in '98, people forget Pippen missed like 40 games in '98, and they won the title. And he was injured in the finals. He literally
mm-hmm.
was just a decoy. So
Yeah,
people forget that about Jordan. So Jordan can do it on his own, technically.
absolutely. Now, by the time he got to the Wizards, he was just he was too old
Old.
by that
Yeah.
point.
But you saw those glimpses. Remember, he had like that 60-point game. You're like, whoa, shit, he's back. He still
I
had
remember,
glimpses.
I think it was Ron Artest. They show it on Instagram a lot where I think he almost blocked Jordan's shot, and one of the other guys picked it up and ran down the court. Jordan's following him down. As he went up for the layup, Jordan jumps up, grabs it, pins it to the backboard, and brings it back down and throws it out. It was freaking hilarious. I mean, you don't have that type of hustle in the NBA anymore.
No. I mean, this is the guy who was MVP and Defensive Player of the Year in the same year. I mean,
Mhm.
so he played both ends of the floor. He was the best, easily,
Absolutely.
by far. It's not even close. I don't even know if LeBron is better than Steph Curry. If you look at Steph Curry's resume, Steph Curry may be better than LeBron.
Well, Steph Curry shoots 3 pointers all day. That's all
Well,
he.
yeah, yeah. That's,
I mean, he ain't driving the ball, and he's too small. I'm not saying he don't drive it, and he does. But the amount of times that Jordan and Kobe and them drove it in there, he ain't driving that ball in there. He's
no.
too small. They'll eat him up.
He had to change the game, though, because he's so small. He had to do it his own way.
Absolutely. I have an argument with my 14-year-old son every day. We play NBA 2K, and he kills me with those damn 3 pointers with Steffi. With Steph, I call him Steffi. He goes, his name ain't Steffi, Dad. I go, it pisses you off, so his name is Steffi.
Yes,
Steffi Curry.
yes. Get in his head. Tell
Yeah,
him to stop shooting those threes. Yeah, yeah. The game has completely changed, though. Like as far as like 3 pointers and a less defense, I mean, it's just a completely different game than when Jordan was playing.
absolutely.
But back to like TLC and stuff, who actually like sets up the match? Like, do you guys, six of you guys, get together and like put that together?
We
Because
all
it
got
seems like,
together. Yep, we all got together a week beforehand, sat in a room, and had a piece of paper and a pen and came up with ideas.
wow,
Mm-hmm.
seems like it'd be like a geometry lesson, like with all those spots and stuff. You know what I mean? Like it's just almost so much going on.
It's called telling a story.
Oh
You
yeah,
know,
yeah,
it's no
yep.
different than when Arnold Schwarzenegger does the Terminator. You got to write the story to the movie in order for the movie to be successful and have great actors to act it out. And that's exactly how we did it in TLC.
It's funny because like if you look at it, we hadn't seen it before, so we didn't know what to expect, but it steals the show. I mean, everybody remembers it, right? And everyone says TLC, TLC, that was match night or whatever. I mean, you guys completely stole the show.
Well, you know, we stole the show. We best match of the year for 2 years in a row, and stole the show at WrestleMania twice. So I'm happy with that.
Yeah, quite a good thing to put on the resume for sure.
Absolutely.
You mentioned the singles run, like when the Dudleys break up in the singles run. You weren't happy with Reverend Devon, or you weren't happy with like the length of it, or maybe the push of it.
You know, I wasn't happy with the push of it. I thought the push could have been a lot better than what it was. Um, you know, like I always said, the people that I went over on, John Cena, Randy Orton, yes, they was in their prime, but Mark Henry, Val Venus, and the biggest one of them all, Triple H. I
Yeah.
don't think Triple H would have ever laid down for me if he thought that character was garbage. You know, I enjoyed it. Hunter enjoyed it. Hunter made a reference that Devon was getting the short end of the stick. I remember Randy telling me that he had conversations with Hunter about it. And Hunter told me, he goes, yeah, Devon is getting the short end of the stick on this push. And I was like, wow, if Hunter's saying that, then I am getting screwed.
Right. And they put Batista with you, obviously, giving him the rub from you.
Well, it was always, to me, it seemed like it was always a destined for me to fail. And I say that because, here it is. I've been in a tag team for 10 years. So I wasn't really a singles competitor at that point, even though that was my first love, but I wasn't a singles competitor at that point. So trying to get out of being a tag team wrestler and now doing things as a singles wrestler, that was hard. Now you put Batista, who's never really been on TV, never really been anywhere, never done anything. Now you put him with me, and I have to get him over along with myself. That's a hard task.
Big time. But they saw something in him, though, right? I mean, he's obviously a gigantic guy. He did well in the OVW, but they must have saw something that were like, all right, Devon will give him the rub.
And I mean, it worked, but I think that he really got where he got was when he got with Evolution. You can't get any better with Flair and Hunter.
Yeah. Yep. Definitely. Orton obviously got tremendous help from being on that team,
Absolutely.
too. When you look at Reverend Devon, was it just because the family? Your parents were Reverends? That's
No,
exactly where it came from?
Vince wanted it was like an exclamation point on the Catholic Church because we had people picketing us from the church and all of that everywhere we went because they thought we were too over the edge, too much, and wasn't good for society. And then not to mention all of these sexual not just sexual, but all of these bad things were going on with these priests in the church. And it was kind of like, okay, ha ha, I'll make a funny on this. Devon, you're gonna become Reverend Devon. And that's why and I was doing shady things with the box, with the money and all of
Yep.
that. And the next step we wanted to do was have me try to like seduce women into coming. It was like a cult following, but it never got to that point.
Oh, that would have been interesting. A little wrinkle in the character.
Exactly.
Oh, that would have been pretty cool. So Reverend Devon, though you weren't kind of happy with just where it ended up, like as far as not
I was
getting.
very happy with the character. I was very happy with what I did during that time. I just wasn't happy that they didn't put the Rocket like I thought they should have. Or if not the Rocket, at least give me some mid card status of it.
Yeah, always curious. But then, like you mentioned before, then they put the Dudley Boys back together, and you guys are kind of on your way again as far as just being the Dudley Boys. Do you think though that at that point Dudley Boys should have been no more, like, or like that's in the past in the rear view, like it should have just been you as a singles, or you were
Well,
okay
I
with that?
did not want to get back together with Bubba because I remember my last match as Devon or Reverend Devon. I had it with Funaki, and I felt that I was just getting into my groove at that point. So I was kind of disappointed. I wanted the singles run to go a little longer. Had nothing to do or nothing against Bubba. I
Right.
just felt like I just wanted to really, really showcase what I can do. And then I was told, well, after the Funaki match, well, we're gonna put you and Bubba back together. And I remember questioning why. Look at what happened tonight. Let me continue. Well, the old man wants to put you guys back together. Okay, nothing I can do at that point.
Is that the end all be all though? As soon as he says the old man is,
Whatever he says, that's it.
yep. I guess maybe it's different now. Maybe Triple H will be a little bit more open to ideas and like, oh, maybe we will keep you together, like more flexible than Vince was.
Well, you got two different personalities. Vince doesn't budge. Hunter
Yes.
sometimes does and kind of sees your vision. Not saying that Vince doesn't, but it is what it is.
As we head towards the wind down, we head towards the finish here. You mentioned Hulkamania and Hulk. Did the selling? Remember when you used to do the shake and the selling? Was that all from the Hulkster, or is that's you? Because that seems like that's like a Hogan kind of thing. The sell.
No, it was neither. It wasn't Hogan at all. It was Piper.
Whoa. Okay.
It was Piper.
Ah.
It was the way Piper used to shake his leg and do all of that. So I just took what Piper did and made it my own. So the
Ah.
way I sold in the ring, the people call it the hokey selling, the over dramatic selling. That was all from Roddy Piper.
Wow. Okay. I see. I fell right into it too. I thought it was like a Hulk tribute
No,
almost.
Hogan
Okay.
did it every once in a while, but Piper did it just about every match he could, especially the shaking of the leg. And Hogan did it too when he would, sell his neck and the leg would shake and this and that. But Piper was the jumping around and doing all of that.
Were you a big Hogan guy though? For real? Like you said, Hulkamania. That's why
Huge
you want to do
Hogan.
the Black Hogan. You were a
I
Hogan
mean,
guy.
I mentioned it in my Hall of Fame speech. A huge Hulkamaniac back then. You couldn't tell me nothing about Hogan, nothing bad. I wouldn't have believed it. It was Hogan was my hero. He was my idol.
When you guys were inducted in the Hall of Fame, were you just surprised at all to be in the Hall of Fame? Because some guys, it's weird. Like the Steiner brothers were just in last year. You know what I mean? You never know like where they're going or where they're thinking
The
or what
only thing I
bracket.
was surprised about was we got in so early.
Right, right.
I didn't think we were going to get in early. Was I surprised that we were going into the Hall of Fame? No. I knew eventually that would come, but I just didn't think it would be so early. If you asked me, I would have thought even to this day, we'd still be waiting to get in.
That's what I was thinking too. I was like, wow, very early for that. But I mean, that's a great honor. Who called you for that? Was that Triple H giving you the call?
No, it was Mark Carano.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he called. Was I in India? I think I was in India on a live event. I was in India, live event, and I was in my hotel room. We just got done with the live event show, and I got to my room. As soon as I walked in the room, I went to go to the bathroom. My phone rang. It was Carano. I was like, "Oh shit, am I getting fired?" I was like, "What's going on now?" And then he says, "Hey, brother." He's like, "You busy?" I was like, "No, what's up, Mark?" And he was like, "Well, I got some good news for you." I was like, "What? You're firing me and giving me a huge severance pay?" He goes, "You can only be so lucky." I said, "Yeah, you're right. What is it?" He said, "We want to put you in the hall. We want to put you and Bubba in the Hall of Fame." And I just remember putting the phone down and just, thanking God and like, finally, a dream come true. Everything, not bad for a little small black kid from Brooklyn growing up in the projects when, that would have been unheard of. And I made it.
Amazing, like to be able to get in there. 'Cause I know some people say, "Oh, it's WWE Hall of Fame," but that's a huge honor and something for the resume and something even like let's say autograph signing and stuff. People love that WWE Hall of Fame. You know what I mean? They love that.
When it happened, I put the phone down and I started tearing up because, I was like, man, I actually didn't make it, so here we go.
And obviously Vince is like the not end all be all, but he's like the person that's like, I want to put this person in. I'm thinking very highly of this person. So I mean
Mm-hmm.
that goes a long way too.
Right. I mean, it really does. Like I said, I was honored and happy.
Just some quick hitters here. Do you have some favorite matches? I know it's like impossible to say and probably get that all the time, but I love going into YouTube like after interviewing a guy or even before and putting like, Dudley's versus or Devon versus like for the YouTubers out there. Like, would you have some favorite matches that people should go and check out?
Well, I think the one I'm going to say was Bubba and I versus Axel and Balls Mahoney in Detroit or Chicago. I can't remember which one it was. But when we put him through the flaming table for the first time, the energy during that time was so good. It was incredible. It really was. I think that's definitely one. And if you haven't seen it, which I don't see how you can, if you're a wrestling fan, the TLC matches, all of them.
Good stuff. Can't go wrong.
No,
Obviously can't go wrong there. What about some like dream matches of matches you didn't have? I always think of like LOD or something, but do you have like
well,
matches?
yeah, that was the match. LOD. I mean, unfortunately, Hawk had passed away before we can make that happen because they had came back to WWE at that point and wrestled Kane and RVD, and then it was only about a month or maybe 2 months later we found out Hawk passed away.
So that's the one that got away, if you will. The dream match that you guys could have, because I know you wrestled the Steiners. So
Yes, we wrestled the Steiners, we wrestled Hall and Nash. We got all the big ones out the way, and and then by the time the British Bulldogs was one of my favorites, Davy Boy had passed and Dynamite was in a wheelchair, so that wasn't going to happen. And of course, the Heart Foundation, Brett, had suffered the stroke, from the kick in WCW, so which ended his career. And of course, Jim the Anvil wasn't wrestling anymore; he was done at that point. So I knew those dream matches of mine would never have been able to come true. And I also, felt real bad about LOD.
Is there a current team you would want to face, like FTR or something? Because it seems like FTR is copying you with all the belts in that picture.
They did a belt picture.
Yeah, they had a like literally almost looks like yours, kind of, where they're holding. I think it's the IWGP, the AAA, the Ring of Honor, and the AEW. They're holding all the tag titles.
Kudos to those guys, man. Kudos to those guys. I would have loved to have worked with them. I think we would have made some beautiful music together. I think the Briscoes were definitely one team that got away from us, and we could have wrestled them, but we were in two different organizations at the time, so it didn't happen. And when we did finally, when WWE the second run was over, I decided to stay and work as a producer. So never got a chance.
What's next for you? What do you got coming up?
Doing what I'm doing now. Working with NXT, helping the young youth, and still producing students out of my wrestling school in Winter Park, Florida, which is 3 minutes away from the Performance Center, Devon Dudley Academy, which people can go on Devon Dudley Academy on Instagram and Devon Dudley Academy on Twitter, and follow me on Testify Devon on Instagram and all of that. So check me out and check out the school. If you want to become a professional wrestler and you want to be learned the right way, come see me.
Perfect, Devon. Thank you so much for all the time today. Really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you, my brother. Best luck to you and your show. And thank you to all the fans that were there for me during the stroke and the back surgery. All your well wishes and prayers really helped out. I'm back in the gym doing my thing and better than ever.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Appreciate all the time.
Thank you, my friend.